I'm the founder and co-executive director of LA-Más. We are a nonprofit that designs and builds initiatives that promote neighborhood resilience and elevate the agency of working class communities of color. I'm also an architect committed to social justice. I use design as a tool to engage and as a value that imparts identity and reinforces community ownership. In addition to my time at LA-Más, I am currently an adjunct professor at Cal Poly, Pomona School of Architecture, a member of Recode LA, and a participating jury member for West Hollywood's Sunset Signage Program. So next, please, thank you. Our area of work for the last 7 years has been to lobby for an architecture that is an alternative scale of community development. We've put our efforts into building pilots that test the cumbersome bureaucracy that makes our streets car-oriented and not people-oriented. We've tested alternative models of affordable housing with Section 8 backyard homes in the center, and asserted that investing in our great streets means supporting our mom and pop shops with storefront projects that go beyond the facade. Next slide, please. This might be automatic. In the first 8 weeks of quarantine, we put all of that work on hold to respond to COVID-19 in Northeast LA. Inspired by an informal phone tree that was already in place with the community that we were serving, we decided to formalize over 200 volunteers locally. Using a graphic language to communicate resources and information, we began to deliver care packages that provided groceries, staples, craft kits, and cash assistance to neighbors who were at the first front of being affected by the impact of COVID. Volunteers were making calls to neighbors. We created a phone script, which they used to check in on whether folks were having enough food or able to go to the grocery store, if they were worried about making their next rent or mortgage payment, if they needed help applying for unemployment benefits, etc. And we held bi-weekly Zoom trainings, and those same volunteers that were making calls during the week were making deliveries over the weekend. Next slide. Early on, we decided that we couldn't separate the needs of residents needing to know more about things like rent abatement, social distancing how-tos, or guides on how to set up their food assistance programs. And so we spent a great deal of time using our design skills to make dense information accessible. In a time of crisis, the last thing anyone needed was to be challenged by the systems that were put in place to support the most marginalized and vulnerable among us. Next slide. I can't believe I feel like I'm going very fast. Ultimately, we created a list of about 2,000 people based on available public data. We organized 200 volunteers to make calls to every person on this list. We kept track of who we talked to, how they were doing, and what they needed. We organized 150 deliveries weekly to a rotating list of over 300 families. The diagram on the left is the bureaucracy we navigated to get a 3-month temporary pilot project done in the public right-of-way, which is crazy, and that's the Go Avenue 26 project. Compared to the right, where we use those same skills to respond to an immediate need, serving our community in a time of crisis. Thank you.